All right, in this video, I'm going to be talking about how to transition your creative skill into an actual business. And if you don't know who I am, my name is Martin Harrison, cinematographer turned media entrepreneur. And in the last decade, I've managed to grow my business from 0 to 8 figures and also transition it to a point where it is not functioning without me. And I'm happy to share what I've learned during this process. There are 4 key things I believe I would do if I was starting afresh again as a beginner. The first thing really would be to work for exposure. I think a lot of time people just say don't work for free, know your worth and all of these things. While some of it is true, the most of it is just caps, to be quite fair, because nobody's going to pay you for having no experience. It doesn't make any sense, right? The guy who has experience will always be you to the job. So the first thing I would do if I was starting is to work for exposure. Look out for people who need the skills that I have and be able to work with them for free. Because right now, my priority is not getting paid. My priority is building a portfolio for myself. So as a young creative, that should be the first in the back of your mind. You want to build a strong portfolio. That portfolio will be the key to open up all the other opportunities that will come, in the future. But right now, your priority is I need to have something to show that will serve as a reflection of my capacity and what my abilities are, right? You can't say to me you're the baddest cinematographer in the country when I haven't seen one thing you filmed. So you want to take these opportunities, even if it means you work for free. It doesn't matter, because for you have a goal at the back of your mind. The goal at the back of your mind is to seize this project as your showreel. And the second thing I would do is to intern. Internship is one of the fastest way to speed up your learning process, right? As a newbie, you don't have any experience. You just know how to, maybe use CapCut or use Adobe Premiere to edit. You've learned 1 or 2 things on YouTube, which is fine, but you have not really put those skills to test, right? Because it's one thing to have the skill, but it's another thing to be able to put it to use under pressure. So what you want to be able to do is intern. Internship gives you the opportunity to not just learn, but also be able to put your skill to test in a much more safer space where you will not be overly judged, where you will not be overly criticized because you are interning. And as an intern, you also get the opportunity to learn at the feet of different people. For me, for instance, I started interning in Daystar, as a camera support worker. So I pull the cable while the camera guy work. But then you learn in the process. You then learn how to mount the tripod, learn how to use the camera, and then you move from camera assistant to actual cameraman. Now, the opportunity that we had in Daystar at that time was to be exposed to equipment that we could not have been able to afford at the time, right? At that time was DSLR 450, they were like gigantic big cameras, not like the DSLR that you have now, right? So these were big cameras that we could not have been able to afford. But being able to intern and serve in the church at that time, we were exposed to this equipment. We were able to use them at our free time. I used to come 2 hours, 3 hours before service to be able to touch the camera, use the camera. And I was very fortunate to have people in the department at the time that were ahead of me, people like Godfrey, who were very gracious to be able to show me how to use equipment. So internship gives you that opportunity, to be able to use gears that you may not be able to afford, that you don't even know exist, and then you'll be able to practice and then be able to sharpen your skill in the process. The third thing for me would be seek mentorship. I think this part cannot be overemphasized, right? Having a mentor is like a cheat code to life in general, not just production, but in life in general. Like, you want to look at somebody who has the blueprints to where you want to be in 5, in 10, in 20 years, right? You want to have a mentor who's already where you aspire to be. And for me, I was so lucky at the time when I was starting to have met my mentor, who is still my mentor to now, by the person of Benga Salu, right? I was very fortunate to meet him at the time that I met him, because just meeting him at the time opened my mind to the possibilities of things that I could not have imagined on my own. And I give you a clear example. Before I met Benga, I used to see motion graphics as such a big deal. I didn't know that those things were done in Nigeria. I used to think they were done in South Africa or somewhere, or some elite template, until I saw Benga use Adobe After Effects to create these things. Mind you, at the time, I didn't even know that Adobe had an After Effects. I only knew Adobe had Adobe Premiere 1.5, which is what I was using in my uncle's studio then when I was starting. But I saw what Benga could do, and it was a light bulb moment. My mind just went boof, and for weeks, I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't believe that there's somebody in this country that could do these things that I could only see on Sound City, and 9GZ at the time, right? So that relationship helped me to, it broadened my mind. It gave me something to aspire for, and it also helped me build my confidence and also sharpen my skill, because by seeing him use these tools, it made me believe that I could do it, because if he could do it, then I'll be able to do it, and I just improve from there on. So if I were to do it all over again, I would definitely still seek for a mentor. The last thing for this episode will be collaboration, right? As a creative person, we sort of live in our head and we live in a bubble, and we just imagine all the things we want to create without necessarily finding the people around us and leveraging the relationship that we have, and I think that is one thing every young creative person should be doing right now. You don't have to wait for the perfect project. You don't have to wait for the perfect environment. You need to wait to have all the gears, all the props, and everything. No, just look around you and seek people who have the skills that you lack, that you guys can complement each other and put out great work. So for instance, as a videographer, you can look around you and find a stylist who makes nice clothes. Find a makeup artist who does nice makeup. Find your friend from school who I've always wanted to model, or who at least look like a model, even though they are not a professional model, but they look like a model, right? Find a photographer. All of you can come together and put together a makeshift runway event. It doesn't have to be a runway. It could just be on the street, right? And you can direct it, have the model wear 3, 4, 5 styling from the stylist, have the makeup artist do the makeup for this person, have a photographer take nice pictures of the model, and all of you can put out that work and tag yourselves as collaborators, right? You don't have to wait for that big project to be able to show what you can do. You want to create your own project from where you are right now, leveraging your relationship and your community to put things together, and then be able to use those content, as leverage to seek bigger opportunities. Because don't forget, nobody's going to give opportunity if they don't see what you can do. And the guy who has more experience will always beat you as a fresher to the gig. So what do you want to do as a fresher? You want to seek to get experience. And how you're going to get experience, you have to create project. You don't have to wait for the job to come, because the job is not where you experiment. A job is where you go to execute. You execute what you have learned over time, what you've experimented over time. So you must seek out other creative, collaborate with other people, do as many projects as you can, build your show reel, seek internship, find a good mentor, and be able to put out great content that you can leverage for better opportunities.